After a couple of days of intense talks and reports regarding De'Aaron Fox going to the San Antonio Spurs, a recent report reveals that this blockbuster trade that would now encompass 4 different teams is looking imminent now between the Sacramento Kings, San Antonio Spurs, and 2 other squads. And this is wild right now at this point. So we're going to break down where this report is coming from, who's going to be in this package or will not be in this package according to the recent discourse regarding this whole saga, and frankly, how we're feeling about the return package that will come from the San Antonio Spurs in this deal, because this has been an absolutely mad past couple days. Again, if you haven't been keeping up with it, hit that subscribe button. Still over 83% haven't hit the subscribe button, so if you're part of that 83%, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. But it has been absolutely a whirlwind. My head has been spinning, but we're gonna put it all together for you guys to keep you up to date on what's happening with the star players out here on this Sacramento Kings team. So let's dive into the news, because the first thing that we do have to discuss before we talk about the report and the blockbuster trade is who's going to be in this package. And one of the names that everyone wants out here in this deal is, in the De'Aaron Fox trade, is Stephon Castle. He was the 4th pick in this year's NBA draft and looks like a monster. Favorites to win Rookie of the Year, is an intense defender. He slashes the rim really well and has extremely high upside, and the Spurs have valued him highly, and he's been the main piece a lot of Kings fans have been hoping that the Kings would get in return for a De'Aaron Fox trade. However, those dreams seem to be shot down here today, as Damian Barling came out and said that indications are the Spurs will not trade Stephon Castle in a De'Aaron Fox deal. Now, again, you look at this, it's like, hey, why on earth would this happen? Why would you go out there and negotiate with the Spurs if they're unwilling to do this? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what other packages can look like for the Kings getting a deal in return for De'Aaron Fox, and that is what it is. You might say it's a fringe report. We'll see. It's a local guy, but we do have more detailed sort of analysis breaking this down from Brian Windhorst, as he basically said if there was a Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Luka Doncic on the table, they might consider it, dealing away Stephon Castle, to speak. But I don't know if De'Aaron Fox rises above that level. They may believe Castle will be comparable to De'Aaron Fox in a couple of years. So basically, while a lot of Kings fans want Stephon Castle in any type of trade package revolving around De'Aaron Fox, doesn't seem like that's going to be the case in one of these packages with the San Antonio Spurs. They're holding on to him. He's an untouchable, and that is what it is. You just got to kind of deal with that if that's going to be the trade talks and how these negotiations go. Maybe Monte McNair can come out and finesse, but the thing about it is the Spurs do have a ton of assets to make this deal happen, and even with them sort of withholding Stephon Castle from any of these trade discussions, this deal looks imminent, according to a recent report. So we'll bring that up here now, as Don Harris, who is a Spurs beat reporter, local news guy for San Antonio, his source says that the Spurs have been very active and perhaps close on a complicated 4-team deal that would bring De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio. Stay tuned. Now, 4-team deals are always very, very crazy to break down, to organize, to get going. He even said so himself. I've done this a long time, and 98% of the time in NBA trade talks, rumor scenarios, they fall apart or are different than the stuff that the agents, GMs float or leak. So anything can happen, but folks are busy. Nothing done yet as far as he knows. So he dialed it back after this tweet caught a lot of traction, but clearly Don Harris heard something, that this complicated 4-team deal was really getting cooked up. That was nearly close. It was nearly over the line. So I was also just about to upload this video, and we got another report revealing that this deal is looking even more imminent, as basically Brett Siegel of Clutch Points has come out and said that there are some talks going on right now around the league that De'Aaron Fox San Antonio trade is gaining a ton of traction. So I'll make that a bit bigger there for you so you guys can see that now as well. So this deal looks imminent. It looks like we now have multiple reports saying that this deal is looking close to getting over the line. So things are escalating. So the rest of this video still makes sense, but things are going crazy right now. The fact that we are, a week away, just under a week away from this actual trade deadline, and the Spurs, Kings, multiple teams are already very, very close on a deal, it means this thing has legs. Usually with these trade reports, you hear nothing. You hear nothing till very close to the trade deadline or until it happens. You look back just a couple seasons ago, Kevin Durant going to the Phoenix Suns, no deal here, they're not close on this, they're not close on this, and then bang, deal done. Or they're close to the trade deadline, this is happening, that's happening, Kyrie is untradeable, he's an untradeable asset, bang, he goes to the Dallas Mavericks. So that's usually the discussion. So the fact that we are hearing things are close already, and it's Friday right now. This trade deadline's still days away. That means to me, it indicates to me the Kings are extremely motivated to get a deal done over the stretch. And they're like, that of course makes sense. When they initially made this report, they're very, very motivated to get De'Aaron Fox out of here at this point. And even though it hurts me to see, a guy that's as talented as De'Aaron Fox, right, 25 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, a guy on that level getting sent away. But when you throw these trade discussions out there, when there's all this discourse already out there into the realm, into the ether, you just gotta kind of cut your losses at that point, because it's going to be a very awkward, it's going to be a very complicated, it's going to be a very, very weird second half of the season if De'Aaron Fox does return, if this deal, it falls through. It doesn't actually happen. So that's kind of the reality that the Kings organization is dealing with, that the Kings are dealing with right now. So again, we saw that Stephon Castle wasn't going to be in one of these trade packages. It doesn't seem realistic. It doesn't seem like that's what the Spurs are willing to do. So who else could be in one of these trade talks? Because there's a few guys out here on the Spurs, I'm flicking their pictures up here right now, that do intrigue me coming back to the Sacramento Kings. So taking a look at it, of course, you're not getting Victor Wembanyama. That just is what it is. You're not getting Castle here now at this point, but Devin Vassell, Jeremy Sochan, Keldon Johnson, especially Sochan and Vassell, are the two guys that very much intrigue me. So Devin Vassell this season is averaging 16 points per game. He's returned from injury, so his numbers are a little bit down, but 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.2 steals, and is a very solid wing defender. Just a very, very versatile, 3-and-D wing. He can score in different areas out there on the court. And Vassell is a guy that I would be very, very intrigued by, pushing hard after being included in any De'Aaron Fox trade package. So he's a guy that's very intriguing. And then you also have Jeremy Sochan. So Vassell, again, you can look at him, he's a wing, long arms, shoots the basketball. It's very, very good. And then Sochan is probably the more popular player because of the colorful hair, the unique play style, he's playing point guard and stuff. He's actually had a pretty solid season for the San Antonio Spurs as well, right? This year, averaging 13 points per game, 7.6 rebounds, 2.6 assists, and plays very solid defense. Both of these guys are effective out there on both ends of the floor. So two guys I think can be valuable inclusions in there to a De'Aaron Fox trade. And then, of course, this deal needs to be centered around draft picks. That's the kind of reality of what's going on here if you're not going to include Castle. And the Spurs have some extremely valuable picks. That Atlanta Hawks pick, unprotected here right now. That team, got the first overall pick last year, so they got lucky there at that point. But they just lost Jalen Johnson, probably their best player. And that draft pick is going to be plummeting. They're already a mid to low level team. Without their top guy, him and Trae Young are their two top guys, but without their real guy at their forward position that impacts winning, they're going to lose a ton of games. So if you can net that Atlanta Hawks pick that has no protections on it, that would be massive. They have a couple of these picks. We're not sure if that Bulls pick will convey. No one knows what's going on with the Bulls situation here right now, right? You have the Charlotte Hornets, who definitely that pick is not conveying. So you have their own Spurs pick, which could be very interesting. If you can net a couple of those picks in 2025, specifically that Hawks pick, that would be very, very intriguing. I mean, even a Hawks swap in 2026, that would be very cool. The Spurs own their own first pick. They have a bunch of seconds, and then even going on far into the future, they have a ton of first round draft pick capital, right? Another Hawks pick. They got the bunch of seconds. They just have the Boston Celtics pick up in 2028. So it is very much a deal, very much a trade where the Sacramento Kings can net a ton of draft capital. So just because Stephon Castle isn't in the deal doesn't mean that it won't go through, doesn't mean it's something that the Kings should reject. You can make an amalgamation of these assets, which gets very, very intriguing for the Sacramento Kings. But let me know what you guys think about this trade being nearly over the line already at this point. Let me know in the comment section down below. You guys have think as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Again, 83%. You're watching the vids, you're tuning in, the comments are there. Hit that subscribe button. Anyways, I'm signing out. Cheers.